Okay, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh dan selamat malam. Bertemu kembali kita dalam Umbrella Talk. Kita dalam tengah-tengah kita nak prepare ni. Untuk siapa yang dah join, mungkin boleh tolong komen. Kalau dengar, boleh komen dengar. Dan mungkin boleh share-share juga dekat kawan-kawan. Dan malam ni kita bersiaran langsung. Di mana Iman?
So hari ni kita berada di Just Fine Coffee Space di Amira Residence section 13 Shah Alam. Alright, so dia berada di bawah. So macam kalau kita panggil macam kedai kat bawah kan. Right, so it's a very comfortable space untuk minum kopi. So hari ni kita sponsored by Just Fine Coffee. Right, so ada kopi, ada cake. Alright. So kalau anyone yang register webinar kita coming up on the 10th of December, Just Fine kita akan dapat voucher coffee lah. So kalau nak rasa di section 13 Shah Alam, Amira Residence. Alright, Just Fine Coffee.
Lemak dia dekat betul-betul berdepan dengan Aeon.
Betul, Aeon Shah Alam. So kita kan dah nak boycott Starbucks sekarang ni. So kita pergi support local. Support local. You okay ke tak okay, Ben? Just fine. Yeah, just fine. Alright. Okay. So we start with the is this the fifth episode? Fifth episode of Umbrella Talk dengan topik dia je yang betul. Alright, so today kita akan bercakap tentang toleransi. Alright,
kita perkenalkan
okay.
Hari ni kita ada orang jemputan jauh.
Jauh dari KL orangnya.
Jauh dari KL. Okay. So di sebelah kiri saya adalah yang diberi nama Ben, kan? Okay, Ben, nama panjang dia tak apa, kita bagi nama pendek. Okay. So hari ini kita bersama Ben, merupakan clinical psychologist juga. So topik yang kita nak berbincang hari ini ataupun kita nak borak-borak santai hari ini adalah kita nak berborak pasal toleransi ini, kan? Tapi sebelum tu kita kena check juga untuk siapa yang join malam ni. So far boleh dengar ke? Suara kami jelas ke ataupun tidak? Okay, so kita harap jelas. Boleh dengar? Okay, tak apa. Kita teruskan anyway, okay? Okay.
Jelas. Okay. Alright, jelas.
Terima kasih kerana ada tolong komen ini.
Betul.
Okay. Berdebar kami tapi tak jelas anyway kan. So, takut kita bercakap itik ayam pula kan.
Betul, ayam itik. Itu
topik minggu lepas. So hari ini kita nak bercakap pasal toleransi lah. Sebab tu kita still membawa pakar-pakar kita untuk kita nak sama-sama berbincang lah ini. Okay. So dalam topik toleransi ni, the first thing yang kita nak tahu adalah sebenarnya bentuk toleransi ni macam mana, ataupun apa definisi toleransi. Inilah. Okay. So kita nak tahu lah bentuk toleransi, ataupun sebenarnya toleransi ni berbentuk macam mana. Adakah berbentuk sebagai orang kata non-verbal ke ataupun cue ke? Mungkin kita go kepada Iman dulu. Macam mana Iman? Toleransi tu macam mana?
Terkejut saya. Tak ada angin, tak ada tiba-tiba Iman start. Okay, so saya rasa kalau kita recap balik tentang perjalanan Umbrella Talk kita. So last session kita cakap tentang communication skills, kan? Kita cakap tentang communication skills. So kat situ kita tahu tentang communication skills yang positif, negatif, kan? Negative interaction, positive interaction, good communication skills. Dia ada different ways yang kita boleh communicate with your partner lah. Alright, so sometimes bila kita cakap tentang toleransi ni, it's about macam mana kadang-kadang communication skills tu is a skill where kita nak membantu solve issues ke macam tu, kan. Toleransi ni is more macam mana kita nak live together with another person. For me lah. Alright, I think how do we sebab kalau kita nak berkahwin ni adalah orang yang definitely someone who is stranger lah kan. Walaupun you dah kenal lama ke apa, tapi definitely a stranger juga. So it's how we want to live together untuk seumur hidup ni. Macam ni kita nak tolerate each other, sebab masing-masing akan ada perangai masing-masing, masing-masing akan ada behaviour, kita fikir apa semua masing-masing kan. Tapi it's how we want to give two person, macam how does two person tolerate each other supaya marriage tu something that you can enjoy together. That is
dia berlaku give intake.
Betul,
kan,
betul.
Tapi kadang-kadang orang tu senang salah faham. Dia kata bila kita bertoleransi, dia tertukar dengan komunikasi. Maksudnya like, I dah bagi tahu I balik lambat. So maksudnya I dah bagi tahu, misalnya adakah itu dah berlaku toleransi ataupun tidak? Sebab kadang-kadang kita tertukar toleransi dengan komunikasi. Mungkin Ben boleh komen.
Hello. Hello. Okay. So for tolerancy, I think when it comes to relationship, it's more about meeting in the middle, right? Semua orang ada quirks, diorang something that you like, something that you don't like probably. Tapi it's more of how you navigate to actually accept. Accepting is the hardest part lah. I think kalau macam dia ni suka tak lepas mandi ke, dia nak letak baju kat the place there where it's supposed to be, and you actually tell them every day benda tu, tapi still tak boleh buat. So how do we navigate those actions kat dalam rumah, in the household, so that benda tu tak jadi something that's big lah, and could cause gaduh, could cause a lot of communication issues juga lah. So I think it's more interrelated juga when it comes to tolerating as well as communicating.
Kalau apa ni, last week kan, dengan Ai kita ada cakap tentang communication, like apa ni, kita macam mana kita nak discuss through things kan. Saya rasa benda yang quite common in terms of macam confusion, toleransi dan communication ni, kan, tolerating dengan communication ni adalah where sometimes the husband akan be okay dengan, dia je yang betul, saya salah. Yalah, awak je yang betul, saya salah. Saya tak ada betul. Kan, saya tak ada betul. Awak je yang betul. Ya, betul. Semua benda saya salah. Alright. So macam what are your opinions on that? So saya macam nak tanya pihak lelaki.
Terus ke pas balik ke penak.
So macam like trying to throw the question lah.
Tidak attack awal-awal.
When it comes to dia seorang je betul, can revolves around a lot of things. Mainly probably personality juga, on someone yang, kalau macam for example, I'm not using perempuan ke, gender is not the issue lah right now, but I'm just saying if another partner is a people pleaser, then tolerating is not an option. It's just maybe more
something
to following, betul kan, ikut je kan, and don't know how to, sebab kalau you takut you upset your partner, right? So actually there's no clear boundaries ataupun not healthy boundaries lah. But in a lot of cases, guys selalulah kalau partner tu datang masuk ke, dia akan cakap, I think my partner is narcissist, right? That's the yang very common lah kan, macam dia je betul. But probably it's true juga, but I think it's a lot revolves dengan kita punya culture, and also how we actually live. I think that's another topic in terms of gender roles semua juga. But all I could say is kalau men sebab kita cakap pasal lelaki kan sekarang, not attacking any gender ya, but for men we are programmed daripada dulu, sebab memang banyak daripada dulu patriarchal, semua kita lelaki is supposed to lead, right? So you have to follow, right? Even last few decades pun orang kata selalu banyak single income punya household, so perempuan mesti duduk rumah, so perempuan just have to follow lelaki, sebab lelaki have ada power dynamics lah, financial semua kan. Nowadays I don't think so that's the case lah, sebab inflation semua lah kan, so partner dua-dua bekerja, so in terms of gender role pun dah berubah, shifting juga, so you can't just follow lelaki, so actually a lot of tolerating on the other side. So I think this idea of lelaki have to be right is mainly not from the girl's perspective, but lelaki sendiri from men itself yang have this.
They think they
idea
have to, right?
Yes, betul, correct.
Actually that's a very good comment, because like it's related for the last topic as well kan, bila kita bercakap pasal cultural kan, budaya in a way kan, because like budaya pun sometimes maybe like bila dalam komunikasi dulu pun mungkin orang daripada state yang lain ada budaya yang lain juga and so on kan. Ben then apa yang Ben katakan tadi pun is a very good point, where it's like currently we go kepada evolution punya ni, so kita dah evolve in a way, and then so one of things yang kita nak cuba cari dalam apa tu toleransi ni adalah we try to go to the middle point kan in a way. Tapi obviously whenever like we need to go middle point, means that there was like give and take punya process kan in a way. Mungkin kita go kepada Iman, sebab Iman tadi dah tanya perspektif lelaki in a way kan, like bila kita kata macam give and take kan juga in a way, maksudnya akan ada pihak untuk kena give in in a way, like tapi in the of gender view, like siapa yang biasanya senang untuk give in, ataupun in term of gender view, adakah another gender susah nak mengalah and so on. Mungkin Iman boleh komen dekat situ.
Alright, I do not want to make this controversial, right? Nor I want it to apa ni, macam make it something yang attacking a gender ke apa kan. Tapi when it comes to marriage, I think perempuan akan lebih banyak giving in. Alright, for example, in terms of lifestyle, okay, lifestyle ke apa, kalau kita tengok ramai yang even klien yang saya yang klien datang jumpa saya kan, lepas kahwin perempuan akan selalu after kahwin je nanti dia akan put dia punya heart and soul everything towards family kan. Contohnya makan suka apa, suka makan apa, dia dah akan fikir anak suka makan apa, suami suka makan apa, you know, in terms of those kind of things lah. Tapi kalau lelaki, dia akan ada juga more kepada dia ada dia own lifestyle lagi, masih ada lagi. Contohnya malam still ada aktiviti dengan kawan-kawan, right? In terms of this kind of thing, right? Okay, so I'm so sorry kalau tu nanti maybe this is something we can
tak apa, kita akan go side lelaki tapi dia ada sedikit overgeneralization sikit kat situ.
I'm not saying that lepas kahwin lelaki akan tak ada apa-apa berubah ke apa, tak ada. Because lepas kahwin lelaki punya tanggungjawab tu dah jadi semakin besar lah, right? Dulu dia fikir tentang tentang makan satu pinggan je. So sekarang bila dia dah kahwin, dia akan fikir tentang 1, 2, 3 pinggan kan. Alright, but when it comes to tolerating ni, I think banyak in terms of contohnya macam household worker, alright, kerja sekarang kalau jenis kahwin, lepas kahwin lelaki dengan perempuan, suami isteri dua-dua kena kerja. Alright, so bila macam tu, tapi at the end of the day kita nampak house chores punya tu akan lebih macam menghala kepada perempuan punya tanggungjawab. Alright, probably not everything, tapi akan ada lebih kepada tu. Right. This may not be for everyone, not for every household, tapi these are the cases that I see. Alright, this is the cases that I see where perempuan sometimes dia tolerate diri dia to jadi diri dia akan tolerate their own self untuk jadi a wife, untuk jadi a mother. Alright, in a way where what happens next is that dia akan lose themselves. Right? Whereas kalau kita tengok lelaki, dia tengok lepas kahwin, dia akan still ada time where what's your favourite food, dia still tahu apa makan, suka makan apa, ataupun aktiviti apa, they still know what they want to do. So maybe this is something that I see in my clinic, as well as something that I not hold on to, tapi something that I think lah. Right?
Okay, dia statement dia agak panas sikit kan. Okay. So kita teruslah kepada Ben untuk bagi komen anyway.
Very interesting take from you, yeah, about gender roles. I think kalau when it comes to guys, men lah in general,
Husbands.
Yes, husband. You kata kalau perempuan more tendency to become the wife, right?
Yep.
Right. But I don't think that's fair to say lah, for sure. Untuk generalize lah. Sebab do you think tak ada lelaki yang actually wanted to be suri rumah? Very good question, right? Macam tu. Tapi macam saya cakap, men yang actually push ataupun view ourselves down lah. Sebab macam kalau let's say if I meet someone, macam if there was a party, right? Ada party ke, birthday party ke apa-apa, gathering lah. Kalau I jumpa lelaki lain, probably I tanya siapa. Second thing probably, you buat apa? So there's this expectation that you have work, occupation, right? But if it's a girl, you takkan tanya benda-benda macam tu. Probably from my side lah.
Alright.
So it's a whole viewpoint lah benda ni sebenarnya. It's a lot of awareness that needs to be done. So I think kalau nak cakap yes, perempuan ada, yes, in your case probably true lah, a lot more ada tendency untuk become housewives, probably lose themselves. But I think laki also have that
as well.
Yes, but probably in my case, in my personal experience juga, cases yang I dapat pun banyak laki macam I'm just working, I don't know what actually I'm striving for anymore. Faham tak? Because I don't really have time for me, semua spend time on kids, so a lot of sacrifices. So I think this topic today, tolerating each other, is important to have this kind of conversations lah.
Communication.
Betul. When it comes to
because I think it's quite unfair for us to say like this certain macam tu, certain macam ni, because I think every marriage is different on its own, it's unique, and they all have different dynamics that you guys would know how to deal with it. And then this comes with communicating with your partner lah. So macam like the session that I had with apa ni Kak Sofia kan, saying dissecting, kita postmortem in terms of apa ni isu ke apa, kita sit down and really see what are the issues kan, postmortem betul-betul satu-satu, macam what are the things that we cannot deal with antara you dengan I macam tu. Okay.
Yeah, something that yang saya boleh tambah juga lah, when we talk about the tolerancy, bila Iman give comment dan Ben bagi comment, I would say when we talk about the communication, it's about which part of tolerancy. Contoh like tadi Iman bercakap pasal apa tu, peranan dalam rumah, taking care of kids. Anyway, that's maybe we cannot lah 100% generalize, but we cannot deny lah, maybe like mom take care kids more kan, compared kepada husband anyway. Tapi at the same time, that's where yang maybe sometimes we need to see like which area of it juga anyway kan. Contohnya macam rules of cuci makanan anyway, contoh kan anyway, maybe like sometimes like girls macam because like dia tahu pasal anak-anak and so on, like then compared to guy, so guy macam tak apalah, you guys choose and so on kan. Okay. So I would say like maybe is area kat mana, maybe like from the big thing to the small things lah anyway. Okay. Tapi I think bila dalam toleransi, dia ada juga bila kita kena give in and so on kan. Sometimes bila berlakunya satu contradict between budaya, culture, macam evolution and so on kan, macam Ben kata roles, the role transition and so on, how we know the limits? Macam mana kita nak tahu limits, like I can tolerate with you lah anyway, like contoh your husband boleh lah, I can tolerate untuk you keluar pergi main futsal anyway, but where is the limit to be tolerate anyway? Maybe Iman can comment first anyway. Iman macam dah I nak jawab okay yeah, so maybe we want to see that point from Iman, that where's the limit in the tolerancy anyway?
I think it goes down back to the values lah. Alright, values balik in terms of contohnya activities that you have with your friends. Okay, untuk of course lah, when I say macam after marriage you're not supposed to lose yourself kan, tapi it doesn't mean that you cannot live like you don't have a family lah. Right, that's for sure. Okay, so macam for you to have your own part of your lifestyle, contohnya macam pertukaran lifestyle tu kan, kalau you nak still continue main futsal ke malam ke kan, so macam mungkin kita try untuk like we mentioned just now, how we communicate, how we try untuk deal with the things ke apa kan, is that kita try untuk tengok macam limitation dia adalah kita tengok values kita. Alright, values kita with your husband. Alright, with your husband pula. with your partner. Okay, so macam kita tengok value with your partner in a way where kalau kita keluar makan, kan kalau kita tengok kat social media banyak kan, kalau dia nak keluar dengan kawan dia akan siapkan 10 kerja rumah hari tu, kan? Betul. Right. So macam in a way where it's like that lah. Tapi kalau that is okay kalau if it's once a week ataupun once in 2 weeks. Tapi kalau everyday you nak keluar dengan kawan you, so 10 kerja ke 20 kerja ke, memang ayah akan marah kan? Takkan nak hari-hari nak keluar with your friends, right? So macam kita tengok balik values you as where do you put your family and where do you put your friends tu. Right? And this is where kita nak kena tolerate macam tu. Sebab mungkin at first kita boleh okay lah, sebab sayang kan, baru kahwin. Okay? So macam mungkin at first kita rasa okay, tak apa, kita try to be understanding. But where do you still see yourself doing this for the next 10 years, 15 years? Are you still okay with seeing your husband going out still every week? Kalau ada apa-apa, tak apa, I dah buang sampah dah, so I boleh lah keluar rumah. Dia macam treat, like macam I dah buat ni, maksudnya I boleh buat ni. Alright, so then as macam the partner that stays at home, are you okay with that? But if you're totally okay with it, macam bila your partner is able to go out, it means that you have your own time at home and you're okay with that, and it means that macam every time itu you ada a lot of time with yourself and you're okay with that, and then I think that should be no problem. Alright, so macam it goes back balik to your values.
What is our value?
Betul.
Yeah, I think that's quite good punya perspektif lah, which is like we go back kepada roles, kan, dan juga value lah anyway. Tapi pada masa sama kalau kita go kepada side lelaki pula anyway, sometimes that more toleration when we talk ni, sometimes it's about financial. Kan, anyway, like there was people say macam yelah husband yang kena support wife, kan, anyway, like tapi kalau wife okay nak beli tu, nak beli ni and so on, so macam kalau tak bagi rasa macam kita berkira pula anyway, kan, like so that's one part lah, macam the toleration topic juga from side lelaki juga nak tahu juga, kan, from lelaki, like where's our limit, so bila kita nak tolerate ni kat limit mana anyway.
Okay, tolerate in what way, sorry?
in general, kalau dengan husband and wife, how we put the limit.
Contohnya macam tadi Nasrun mention, kalau your wife wants a lot of macam material things, kan, tapi macam yelah nak beli jiwa katanya, so macam where's your limitation to that?
Limit dia bila wallet dah rabak lah. Right, obviously, right. I mean, if you're married, I think responsibility wise, for sure financial part mesti you nak belanja your wife juga, kan, not only for yourself lah, because that's what family is lah. You ada responsibility, financial and that part. But in terms of knowing your limit, it's actually knowing, I think this is more about financial literacy jugalah, untuk you tahu limit berapa, how much you can actually spend on a monthly basis. But maybe from your partner's perspective, they don't really understand. So it's good if you can sit down, take a day or take a few minutes, a few hours to actually explain how much yang you actually have and how much is your limit when it comes to financial lah. Tapi kalau when it comes to time semua, you can also sit down discuss. This nang, for me, when it comes to limit, you actually have to tell, sebab people assume you always have money lah, kan, lagi-lagi, kan, and also people assume that you always have time for your partner semua, but maybe you are busy, maybe bulan tu you ada banyak kerja, banyak deadline, so you have to actually commit to those. Tapi when you don't have communication, people don't really know what's going on. People assume you just don't have the time for them. Macam tu lah, right?
Betul. Sebab kan quite common, kan, bila hidup ni keras. Tengok orang cakap hidup ni keras, kan. So you have to work lah. So macam in terms of tolerating as well, if your partner works a lot and then you don't have the time together, so macam how do you make peace with that, kan? How do you tolerate with your partner tu? Sebab your partner bila kerja bukan untuk siapa pun, for you as well, kan. InsyaAllah lah InsyaAllah partner tu kerja bukan untuk orang lain tetapi untuk you dan keluarga you. Amin.
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 Okay. So when we bila kita tengok kedua-dua perspektif lah, anyway in term of toleransi tu adalah tadi kita bercakap pasal where is the limits lah. Tapi something to be conclude adalah satu, toleransi ni berlaku dalam banyak perspektif. Kan, anyway that the first lah. Second adalah macam point Ben tadi, when we talk about the toleransi, is different setiap orang. Kan, individual difference tapi transparent tu kena ada. Okay, so we have to be transparent. So bila bila kita rasa dah sampai limit tu, we have to tell lah. Kita kena bagi tahu kan. Okay. So yeah, that's against communication and juga transparency anyway. Tapi antara soalan-soalan lain yang kita nak tanya adalah, dalam toleransi ni biasa apa faktor yang membuatkan kita tak boleh nak tolerate? What is actually common factor yang biasa sukarnya untuk berlaku komunikasi mungkin? Komunikasi pula, toleransi. Okay.
Cuba Ben dulu.
Okay. Iman request Ben dulu. Okay, Ben request.
Iman start dulu kan.
What is actually faktor-faktor yang menyebabkan sukar berlakunya toleransi ni?
I think if we go back towards definition of stress itself kan, kalau benda tu lebih daripada kapasiti kita, technically it's over our limit lah. Same goes here lah. That's how I view it juga in terms of tolerating you punya limit lah, in terms of tolerance. Sebab tu sometimes as you grow older, probably tolerance level you pun rendah, ataupun probably it goes higher. It depends lah. Mungkin parents you ke someone that you know cepat marah, bising je kena marah kan. Dulu mungkin tak ada macam tu. Similar lah. When it comes to tolerating limit kan, susah ni.
Okay, saya ambil.
Yes.
Alright. Okay, so I think benda yang one of the things yang kenapa people to have to tolerate is probably lifestyle. Right, the change of lifestyle, the change of family culture, right? Also like in terms of kita nak kena change of, I think this is very very important. Kita nak tolerate belief system tu, kepercayaan kita, apa yang kita believe with your partners punya belief system tu. This is something yang kan kalau kita selalu cakap macam cari yang sekufu kan, so, macam cari yang sekufu, macam benda yang kita nak kena sama, nak kena yang sama. Sometimes bila kita cakap, orang misinterpret sekufu ni macam kalau orang kaya kena kahwin dengan orang kaya, orang yang tak kaya kena kahwin dengan orang tak kaya, supaya kalau your husband masters, wife tu kena ada master ataupun ke bawah ke, macam those kind of things kan. Tapi I beg to differ when it comes to sekufu ataupun in terms of nak kena tolerate ni, it's where you view the world, right? Your belief system tu, apa yang you percaya tentang dunia ni, what are the things that you agree on and what are the things that you cannot agree on. Kalau your belief system with your partner are very opposite kan, contohnya for example semalam konsert Coldplay kan, semalam ke, it was 2 days ago kan, Coldplay punya konsert tu. So if your husband jenis yang tak boleh tolerate langsung any kind of entertainment, any kind of keseronokan lah kan, betul, more Islamic ke, ustaz ke, insyaAllah, Alhamdulillah. Alright, tapi wife jenis yang suka bukan like enjoy, right, not about like living life to the fullest ke, tapi when it comes to Coldplay good kan, macam like it's once in a lifetime punya experience kan. So when this belief system dia macam wife nak pergi situ tapi husband memang tak boleh. Alright, bila ada clash of this belief system ni, this is where conflict can happen. Right, so how much do you and your husband or you and your partner nak try untuk tolerate with this? Alright, and this is something very very important to be discussed before kahwin. Alright, because sebelum kahwin ni lah baru kita nak tahu orang ni percaya apa, kita percaya apa. For example, parenting style. Right, parenting style is very very important for you to discuss with your partner before you kahwin. Kalau after kahwin, susah, betul tak? Like this is a person that is going to membesarkan anak you together. Alright, so macam kalau dia ada different parenting style with you, this is where how much can you tolerate that? Sebab we're talking about children, anak you. Right, we cannot just okay lah, dia suka macam ni, okay tak apa, buat macam tu. That's very difficult. I think that's in my opinion lah. That's just one of the many things of tolerating things.
Macam more kepada cultural.
Betul, cultural,
The background, the
Betul.
childhood.
Betul.
I mean,
Cik Ben?
what do you think that?
I have a very different view
Alright.
Okay.
Okay, teruskan.
when it comes to
Betul. Ni kena tolerate ni Iman and Ben ni.
The example of toleration.
Ni lah.
Kita trying to find the middle ground, but listen first.
Betul. Okay,
So,
teruskan.
tolerating factors, I think a lot of it comes from self-esteem. I'm saying this from a man's perspective, sikit. Sorry lah, macam bias sikit pada lelaki, tapi I think it's important to ketengahkan sedikit lah.
Okay, teruskan.
So when it comes to masculinity ni, a lot of it revolves around self-esteem. Right? Kalau self-esteem you probably low, you act out, you orang kata compensate.
Compensate.
Right? You compensate dengan you punya actions, dengan you punya words. Because inside you're actually feeling low lah kan. Tapi outside you have to show that you're not low lah. Orang kata compensate lah kan. So when it comes to tolerating, one of the factors yang usually lah in cases yang I actually pernah handle, a lot of it comes from self-esteem. Because kita tak actually believe in ourselves, or we don't really feel good about ourselves. So we have to have this, orang kata very machoism lah, orang kata kan, very tough, very macho, very masculine, very alpha punya behaviours lah. So you cakap dengan partner you pun, either this or this, you just have to follow things like that lah. Okay. So factors, one of the factors would be self-esteem. Sebab tu I really agree, macam kalau beforehand in marriage, actually you find a therapist ke, you go for sessions ke, actually just to actually discover about yourself, how you are, how you grew up, why your personality is this way, if you're that kind of person lah. Macam tu lah, siapa makan cili terasa pedas sikit lah kan.
Maksudnya kalau self-esteem,
Maksudnya is that maksudnya adakah orang yang self-esteem rendah, dia akan become macho and more defensive? Is it,
Okay. No, a lot of arguments ataupun a lot of cases, kalau from, I'm not saying susah betul nak cakap pasal gender ni, takut. When it comes to female lah, dia punya issue is selalu kita tak boleh lawan husband, right? Always like that, right? And how do we actually learn? Lepas tu bila you jumpa therapist always say, buatlah barrier, buatlah ni, have some healthy boundaries, right? But how? That's the main question lah. So I think it's dua side punya kerja, not only the wife, right? In this case, sebab tu actually before you get married ke apa, it's good to also learn more about yourself. So go into therapy ke apa. So that's why I'm not pushing for therapy ke apa, but self-esteem is actually something that kita pun tak tahu. Nanti macam sebelum kahwin lain, lepas kahwin lain, just have to follow. Tapi mungkin benda tu is something that you actually grow up with, you dididik macam tu, kita pun tak tahu.
Tapi I got a question. Okay, so
Ambil mic.
apa ni, macam we talk about the self-esteem, sometimes when we talk about the gender, sometimes perempuan suka orang yang lelaki yang higher punya self-esteem, so that they feel being protected. Being protected kan, in a way. Like do you mean that when talk about toleransi tu kita kena cari yang equal self-esteem ke atau macam mana?
And I think this point Iman ada cakap tadi, mencari yang sekufu, at least have the same belief system. I think it's very hard to find that. It's more about, which is the topic yang kita sembang hari ni, tolerating towards achieving that lah. Sebab nak kata lahir-lahir cari ada partner yang view kita sama tu, I rasa mustahil lah. It's more about if the other person can actually understand your view and probably tolerate to also have more or less the same view. Macam tadi you cakap, kalau seorang tu suka pergi konsert, lagi seorang tu very religious lah, I would say kan, very conservative orang kata kan. How do you actually navigate? Boleh ke partner you masuk in that relationship knowing that you won't get those activities, those entertainment semua? So it's a tolerate more about from the women's side lah, kalau in that relationship lah. Tapi is she willing to do that for the rest of her life? Macam tadi. So it's a question of, kalau dia buat benda tu, is she gonna lose herself in the future? Betul tak? So it's a lot of questions. Sebab tu mental is not something easy.
Faham? So maksudnya you're saying kalau orang tu ada low self-esteem, it's very hard for them to tolerate in a way. Right. So kiranya macam kalau dia ada like if you have low self-esteem, you don't know what you like, ataupun you know when you just like a comment here kan, person builds a wall to hide what's on the other side kan. So it means yang bila your partner tries to find the middle ground, you wouldn't want to listen ke? Is that what you're trying to say? I see. Alright. So macam kiranya lelaki akan lebih macam I don't want to listen to you. Macam tu ke? Macam you know what, I don't want to listen to you, this is what I say, A, B, B, macam tu.
Pasti compensate lah juga.
Alright. Okay. Faham? Agree? Okay.
Okay, so kita panaskan sikit lagi. Ini macam like now we see the spark of fire, macam tak cukup apa tu orang kata so we nak spark sikit. So bila we talk about the tolerancy kan ini, so there was like give intake and so on, but to that sense sometimes in the case dalam session juga adalah this thing happen bila berlakunya banyak pendam. People will thought that we are tolerating, but actually we are just put it inside kan, anyway kita just simpan dalam lah orang kata kan, anyway. So how we know like it's actually is toleransi ataupun actually just pendam? Mungkin Iman boleh komen.
Alright. Saya rasa nak start dulu ke? Nak start dulu? Okay. Teruskan. Nak start dulu. Okay, teruskan.
Kita kena toleransi.
Betul, toleransi. Tolerate ke pendam je sebenarnya? Tak tahu. Okay, teruskan.
Pendam and toleransi, right?
Okay.
When it comes to keeping it in or tolerating, more about perspective, how we actually think. Okay, I think most of us tahu about the term learn helplessness. Okay?
Sorry?
Learn helplessness. Right? So, sebab banyak arguments juga, learn helplessness, is it the same as acceptance? Right? Sebab technically, learn helplessness is actually you terima je apa yang dah jadi. So when it comes to, there's a key difference lah for sure. Acceptance tu kalau kita ambil from addiction punya perspektif lah, sedikit terpesong sedikit, tapi kalau ambil from addiction punya perspektif, kalau macam pergi AA punya meeting kan, first thing that you have to do is, hello, my name is Ben, I'm an alcoholic for example, is actually to accept.
Okay, teruskan.
Benda tu kan. But sorry, jauh.
Not sure where we're going.
Jauh
Okay,
ni. Sorry. But
Okay.
the other part, learn helplessness, is actually about the future. You dah put in your mind that there's nothing that I can do. So at the present moment, I'm not doing anything. Because kalau I buat pun, it's not going to make any difference in the future, right? So that's learn helplessness lah. So that's the difference between tolerating and also apa tadi? Pendam. Right? Pendam is because kalau kita cakap pun, there's no outcome, there's no differences. So acceptance is more about kita accept what's happening, but what are we doing after? So there's a lot of steps in between lah. Right?
Alright.
Okay.
Faham? Kalau saya masih mudah dia. I think when it comes to beza dia kalau kita tengok selalunya, this is what we can see usually in old couples. Right? Dia macam jarang kita tengok yang young couples, because young couples ni they are still adapting. So bila adapt ni, you have a lot of conflicts where you try to solve things. Right? Tapi kalau old couples, when it comes to tolerating ataupun pemendam ni, kalau kita tengok contohnya macam kalau kita tengok macam nenek dengan atuk kan, kadang-kadang macam atuk tu dah tengok TV kuat, bukan main kuat je. Lepas tu macam kat dapur tu nenek tengah masak kan. So macam bila macam tu nanti si isteri ni akan bebe. Lepas tu kadang nanti kita, atuk, nenek cakap apa tu? Tak tahulah dia. Nantaklah dia kat belakang tu kan. So sometimes this kind of things kan. So nanti bila kita dekat masuk dapur pula, nanti kita tanya nenek, atuk cakap apa ni? Kenapa kat depan tu? Tak tahulah, dia tak habis tu ni orang suruh tu macam tu. Alright. So when it comes to memendam ataupun tolerating, the difference is you see where your level of content in the marriage itself. Alright. Kalau you memendam, bila orang cakap je, orang luar, for example orang luar cakap je macam tu, kenapa your husband macam tu, nanti you akan start mengeluarkan kata-kata dia, ataupun macam you would talk bad about your partners. Alright. But when it comes to tolerating, dia memang macam tu, kita dah okay dah, You know, these are the things where you feel content with the way that your partner is. Alright, so macam that's, I think, the major difference lah. I think that's the major difference with these two things.
Yeah, I think something the middle ground that we can see is actually tolerancy is more macam Ben cakap tadi, acceptance. Kan macam Iman cakap tadi kan, when the old generation has a better acceptance each other tu. Then when we talk about the pendam tu adalah, when Ben cakap tadi adalah more towards helplessness. So dia rasa macam tak ada benda pun boleh ubah kan, anyway, like but something that I can add on adalah bila kita rasa tak ada benda yang boleh diubah, there was some sort of like repression of emotions kan. So maksudnya kita ada makan dalam. So I think that's the key lah kan. So macam orang yang pendam ni dia akan makan dalam lah, but compared kepada orang yang actually yelah ni kan, dia macam tak apalah, lantaklah inside. So we don't put inside so a lot kan, macam then easy to let go lah, easy to kan, kalau compare kepada kita pendam. So those yang macam biasa boleh affect emotional kita, psychological kita kan, anyway. Okay, so we dah start go to the end lah. Okay, so for conclusion, anyway, just in short, anyway kan, maybe Iman dulu, like maybe you can share a little bit tips anyway in terms of toleransi ni, sedikit tips how we improve the toleransi between partners.
Alright, I think taking Ben's punya perspektif tadi kan, it's okay. Alright, I think taking into Ben's punya perspektif tadi, it's how much you try untuk make peace, you know, tolerating with each other, this kind of things kan. You make sure you don't lose yourself, tu je. Alright, you don't in a way where you don't sacrifice yourself, where dia jadi macam selfless punya love, you know, where you end up losing yourself in the midst of being in the relationship tu. Alright, and I think when it comes to tolerating, orang yang baru nak kahwin, orang yang baru kahwin, this is a lot of things yang akan jadi end up in a conflict tu. Alright, it will result in conflict, but then going back to your values, going back to understanding more about yourself. Right, you have to always understand more about yourself supaya you would understand more about what you want in the relationship. Alright, then only you could discuss and communicate better with your partner. I think this is very, very important.
Yeah, I think that's more or less the answering juga lah. One of the question given here, when do we know is a tolerating is a matter, or is actually situation where we should actually change?
When do we know it's a tolerating matter, or it's actually a situation where we should actually change? When? Ambil Ben soalan ni.
Apa yang dia suruh you buat tu? Change tu very generic question, susah untuk I assume what's your actual question kan. Tapi if it's change for the good, maybe it's something that you can consider. Sebab kalau kita contemplate tu, maksudnya probably there's something going on lah kan. Maybe it's something that's hit inside for us to actually change. Tapi macam mana nak tahu if it's just a tolerating matter ataupun tak? Usually it's something that's benign, maksudnya benda kecil. Tapi kalau emotion kita actually react strongly towards that, maybe it's something that is very orang kata personalized kepada kita. Because emotion is a strong factor untuk apa-apa reaction. It's a good motivator lah. Sebab kalau macam kita marah, kalau kita rasa upset ke apa, we cry ataupun kita menjerit, kita marah. So emotion tells us something about how we actually feel, and if you feel it's something that hurts you, then probably it's time for you to actually consider if it's something that's good to be changed ataupun tidak lah, right? Senang je.
Gimana tambah?
It goes back balik. Kalau certain situation tu, it happens how many time? If it happens one time, probably okay lah, kita boleh tolerate lagi ke atau macam tu. But if it happens over the time, over the weeks kan, macam every week benda sama, ataupun contohnya macam setiap kali keluar kita akan lambat, setiap kali appointment kita akan lambat, setiap kali appointment kita akan lambat. Mungkin at first we can try to tolerate, alright. So macam kita tahu pagi memang tak boleh, so kita tolerate petang macam tu kan. Tapi petang pun kita akan lambat. So the issue now is not the time, but your you would have to change the way that you siap ke, ataupun this kind of things, right? So we see how many times it happens over and over again. Kalau dia dah jadi banyak kali, maksudnya you have to do something about it lah, macam tu.
Yeah, I agree. So to be conclude adalah maksudnya tolerating tu untuk tahu the limit tadi kan, is it should be changed or not. Satu, I think we try to tolerate, but when the situation demands more, not in the middle points, but they demand like more than middle point, so like it's not tolerating lah. Itu kena, maksudnya kita all the time mengalah kan, like we try to go to the middle point, but it's like if it's demand more than that, so it's where means that we have to change lah kan. Anyway, okay, so kalau ada soalan lain boleh tanya, but sebagai penutup from Ben, like what is your tips in toleransi ni, how to improve?
Tips susah ni. When it comes to tips, I think we have to understand that everyone is built different. Everyone goes through life differently. Probably the same way kita tengok orang jalan semua, tapi actually we're living different lives. So everyone has a lot of things going on. Itu yang paling penting lah. So when it comes to taking care about our emotions as well as taking of other people's emotions, I don't think it's easy to navigate lagi-lagi dengan orang yang kita sayang ataupun orang yang kita rapat lah. Sebab kita rasa tak tahu if they're hurt ataupun if they're not hurt. So communication is definitely one of the highest list priority lah in terms of tips. Other than that, when it comes to tolerating, also understanding about yourself and or your limits pun is a good way to actually improve your relationship. So you can actually tell your partner what ticks you off ataupun what is okay with you, macam tu lah. So they have a clear understanding of what ticks them off lah, right?
I think again, cari partner that I think that is worth for you to tolerate, and that you are okay to tolerate with them. Alright, so macam I think that's very important, because kita susah untuk tolerate orang yang kita rasa kita tak boleh, kita tak suka sangat ke, ataupun macam we don't really like them, ataupun that they're not worth tolerating for, ataupun they're not worth to change for. So I think it's very important to choose your partner wisely lah.
Okay. So yeah, thank you so much for the sharing, Ben dengan Iman. I think that's a very good discussion. In a way, so malam ni kita talk about the tolerancy, but again, the tolerancy is not the only domain.
Betul?
In the marriage. There was a lot of more things, communications, tolerancy, understanding, expectation and so on lah, in a way. So to promote in a way incoming in 10th of December, so Payung Redup going to have webinar, sebelum lafaz diikat, dan webinar itu adalah fokus kepada for those yang baru nak masuk ke alam perkahwinan, dan for those yang dah baru masuk alam perkahwinan tapi masih dalam belajar, dan juga for those yang macam nak belajar pasal dalam pasal
tahu what's going on.
Yes, exactly. For this yang nak belajar, so boleh sign up lah dekat Payung Redup lah.
Betul.
Anyway kan,
sekarang kita ada early bird price RM90. So the early bird price will close on the 1st of December. So cepat-cepat book register cepat-cepat in our webinar lah.
Yes. Dan malam ni pun sekali lagi untuk kita nak promote, hari ni kita bersiaran langsung kan, live dekat Just Fine Coffee. So it's very small, cute and orang kata classic punya ni kan, comfortable in a way. And kita punya location dia betul-betul berdepan dengan Aeon Mall Shah Alam ini. Dan
so with the genocide that's happening. Alright, so again, like every week I mentioned, for anyone that wants to donate, so boleh donate through com.org.my, khom.org.my. So if anyone wants to donate to Palestine or Syria, just tekan butang donate and donate however that we can lah. Alright, berapa banyak yang kita boleh. Alright, so I think that will be all. So jumpa next week Amrila Talk pukul 9 malam, hari Jumaat, dengan topik next week adalah self-improvement. Alright, so again live. So kita tengok dah hari ni kita dah tolerate. Kita dah tolerate untuk orang kan. So macam mana? Ya, betul, berjaya. Okay Ben Boleh Alright, so tak ada rasa macam tumbuk Ben. Belum lagi. Alright, so nanti kita jumpa next week with how do we help ourselves lah with our self-improvement. Alright, so I think that will be all for us. Thank you so much
Thank you so much for watching.
So jangan cakap kami tak payung. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Assalamualaikum.